it's just for the workshop. So here's another piece with some figures in progress as well.
Can you show me your pen drive?
You don't have yet?
No, I haven't.
Viszont nincsen vége a bemenete, úgyhogy ide fordítjuk a notebookot, és akkor úgy tudják.
I think the computer should be here because
Yeah.
I would like to swap the slides when I talk.
Here, mouse.
Okay.
You can use the laptop as he is serving for you, okay? And
Okay.
when you just want to use it, just touch it.
All right.
Is that okay for you?
Yes, it should be fine. Let's hope so. So, well, just yeah. I'll just go the arrows. Show where that's what it tells me.
Oh yeah. Don't dash, listen, don't dash. I need a sign. I need arrows.
There should be. Show me that this is the upstairs.
Yeah, he said, I have everything. And I said, show me. And he showed me.
It's the. Nice. Is the presentation with the date 18, just the first one.
Okay.
First I will show you some of my works and then talk about sculpting in general and show the presentation, and then I will do what you asked me to do. Yeah, you can. Don't hesitate to ask questions.
Jó szög be? Jól látják? Vagy...
Yeah, but can you? I thought that the presentation would be on the screen.
Össze akarja köttetni a tévével.
Én is szeretném, csak nincs olyan kimenete.
He wants to, but the TV doesn't have any connection of this one.
Sorry, you have to come closer to see the presentation on the laptop.
Left click. Next.
Okay.
Milyen kimenetre van szükség?
Vége a...
For me to see.
Vége a...
De ezt még nem láttam.
USB 2, HDMI, USB 1, HDMI 1, 2.
So I think we can start.
És másik oldalt nincsen?
5+2 already.
Ez másik oldalt nincsen. You see, Radek? It's a brand new TV and nothing any VGA connection.
Okay.
Don't buy any Philips at home, okay?
Okay, I think we can start. So, hello, I'm Radek. Nice to see you at the seminar. Last year I had a similar one here, talking about figure sculpting. I would like to show you how easy it is actually, and to encourage you a bit to start your own figures or at least conversions, because it's always it's always a nice touch to add more personality to figures and to your models, to your dioramas, everything you want to do. It's always nice to have that personal touch to each work, not only by painting or building the model your way, but adding that extra thing, that life factor to the model, right? Because a model with figures is of course much more interesting and lively than without. At least that's my opinion. So this is my idea to encourage people to, when I do the workshops to start doing this, show them how easy it is, like I said before. Okay, so here are some of my works that I did past the last several years. This one actually is here on the previous one, and this one are displayed here on the contest, in the contest area. No, it changes automatically. So I will just get you briefly through the slides. I started sculpting like around 10 years ago. Initially I used milliput putty because it was widely available, at least in Poland. And then I was able to get some more sophisticated materials like Magic Sculpt or green stuff that are, in my opinion, much easier to handle as it comes to doing specific pieces of clothes or anything. Milliputs is still good, but these are better. If you ask me, this is my choice. So. By the way, if you have any questions on some specific
I have one
thing.
question.
Yeah.
Did you even try Tamiya epoxy putty? Green or
No, because I have a good access to Magic Sculpt. I know a guy who imports it to Poland, so I can buy any amount he has. I need any amount I need. So. I'm not saying that Magic Sculpt is the best material available in the world, but it's good. It's very soft. Dries in like completely in 1 hour. Of course, it varies when we have warmer weather. It dries more faster and dry climate. So you have to have this in mind. But you can easily work with it to do some fine folds. Or details on your figures for about 30 minutes. These are some photos that will show you that the figures are built of layers. Actually, it's not like sculpting in stone that you remove the excess of the material and the figure appears from the material, but you add layers. So first I start with basic shape of the torso and pelvis. I join them with those paper clips I have here. For the boots, I use a friend of mine casted me some boots, and then I reworked them. I only use more or less the sole as a basis because normally it takes a lot of time to do a nice sole of the shoe. So to make my work easier, because I sculpt quite a lot. To make my work easier, I use those ready-made castings, pre-casted things, and then I rework them if I want. These are those high boots, so they all look like this on these figures here. But then if I want to make them with shoelaces or rework the whole pattern, I use them as bases and remove the resin from them. So that's basically it. Here you can see how this is the figures that were previously shown in the initial phase, and these are finished from one of my works. Yeah, this is it. So I use mostly heads from Hornet, or mostly Hornet. I tend to rework them when I need another facial expression, but I decided to use them because if I do one of my models like here, I need, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's another inside, so 7 figures, so sculpting each face from scratch would take me ages. So I prefer to use resin heads and just rework the expressions when I need to, when I want to have something totally different from the stock available figures. Yeah. Here are some heads from the body, from Christian body. Now here are the figures I took with me here. They will end up on a diorama I'm currently building. So as you can see with the slides, the figures add a lot, and of course you can use stock ones, but it's always more interesting to start your own projects like this.
And mostly they don't fit.
Yeah, mostly they don't fit or are too large or too small, and there's always some kind of problems. Here's a simple conversion I did for a colleague some time ago. So you don't have to start with very complex figures if you're a beginner. You can just start with some simple conversions, just removing part of the stock figure you have, part of I don't know, reworking the hands, the trousers, the shoes, or some other pieces. And then from these easy first attempts, then proceed to some more complex figures, right? So yeah, this is, I think, well, this is green stuff, the other putty. It comes in rolls like this. It's very rubbery, so to speak. It has different features than Magic Sculpt. Magic Sculpt is very soft, and you can make very fine molds with it just by gently touching with a tool the putty. And green stuff is much more firmer, so it's good for making some wavy shapes like hair, mustache, birds. I use it also for fingers, hands, reworking the faces of the figures. It's very flexible. Of course, you can mix those two, green stuff and Magic Sculpt, and you get all the features in one. So you get a very soft putty and a very flexible putty in one. So it's nice to have those two features sometimes if you need to create some specific effects. For example, I would use that for making a overcoat, the pieces of the overcoat that are waving or something. That would be Magic Sculpt with green stuff, because you can make the green stuff helps to achieve the effect of the dynamic, to create a dynamic shape of the piece of cloth. With Magic Sculpt, it would be a bit difficult to get it. More difficult. Maybe it's not impossible, but a bit difficult. So yes, I think the presentation is coming towards the end. I use some brushes like these here to redefine the details when I sculpt. For Magic Sculpt, it's just water, no, I don't know, other dilutants, just water. And you can easily create the shapes, the folds.
Do you start if you create a fold with the brush, or you use the toothpick?
No. I use the toothpick made tools. I have actually three. One is on one side it's a round shape, and the other is cut to have double tip in one tool. This one is round all over, so I use it for rolling the putty on the. When I apply a piece of putty on the figure, then I roll it like this to get some uneven, nice curves on the cloth. And this one is much sharper and thinner and much longer tip, so I make some corrections with it. Or for example, when I have to do some wrinkles on the faces, or I need to get to some areas that are difficult to get with other tools, I use this one. I also have a very old tool. It's like this. It's an old paintbrush stick. It's rounded on one side and not round on the other. And I use this for applying the putty when I start to shape the first the initial shape of the clothes, actually. So I start with this one and my fingers, because fingers are a very good tool, as you know, as you can imagine. Yeah. And then I go with the toothpicks and brushes and scalpel. So as you can see, I think you can achieve really decent effects with homemade tools, and they are actually not expensive or not specialistic. Yeah, they are kind of specialistic because they are made custom, right? So they are matched to the ideas you have, right? So, but I think it's the best way to do the tools your own way. So you know what you need, right? And you know the best what you need. I also use a drill to make the holes for joining the pieces together, the torso, pelvis, and the hands and heads and everything. It's more or less 1 millimeter, a bit bigger than the actual diameter of the rod that is used for the paper clips. So, and then I glue them with super glue. So this is it. So what would you like me to show you more? Because if you have any, the presentation is. Oh, these are the prefabricated pieces of the torsos and pelvis. I always, when I sculpt, I always tend to have some leftovers of the putti, so not to waste it. I use it for making numbers of these additional parts. So I always have a bunch of like 20 or 30 figures more of these pieces. So yeah, it's just like something like this. Oh, this is how the mannequin looks like in the beginning. Just the paper clips, the resin components, and the pieces made of magic sculpt here. Yeah. Oh, that was a good example. Sorry. After I create the molds, the folds on the cloth of the cloth, I polish the putti with steel wool. It's the lowest gradation I was able to find, the most smooth gradation of the steel wool, and it really adds a nice. For example, it's good for if you're going to cast your figures. You polish them with this because the surface will get much. It will get slightly glossy, of course, but that doesn't affect the figure in any wrong way, and you can always refine the overall look of the surface with the steel wool. Of course, you have to be careful not to press it too hard against the figure, because you can sand down the folds if you're too quick, or you press it too hard against the surface. So yes, this is the thing. One of my older works. So okay, so I think we're done with the laptop. And questions? Anybody? Okay, so we're gonna start with the. It comes, magic sculpt comes, like all the putties, comes in two compounds, the hardener and the resin piece. If you have never had contact with this putty, you better first make some kind of, maybe not an experiment, but check if you're not allergic to it. It's a epoxy-based thing, but it can really make create an allergic reaction of the organism. So be careful with that. This one is really fresh, so it sticks to my fingers too much. Don't worry. So if you're going to start sculpting, better check which putty will be best for you. If you have some allergies, that should be the main priority when you start, if you want to start. Okay.
But only for the contact with the skin, or
Yeah.
also the
Well,
hair,
don't need
or-
it. Don't need it. Yeah, but contact with the skin, yes. My friend can't use magic sculpt because he's allergic, and once he touched his eyebrow, right? No, not eyebrow. This
Eyelid.
part of the eyelid. Yeah, he touched it, and his eye was like this. So you have to be careful with that. I'm not allergic to this, but I had a kind of allergic thing when once I bought some amount of this magic sculpt, and I was a bit allergic, but then I changed to another piece of the putty, and it was okay. So probably maybe it was a very selective situation. So yeah. Okay. So we have it mixed, so we have like 20-30 minutes to do something with it. when I started the figures and I'm not satisfied with the pose, I sometimes just break the mannequin into pieces and correct it. So it's not a problem at all. If you have the separate joints for hands, for legs, and for joining the torso with the pelvis, you can always break it. It's much harder, I think, if you use a single, because some sculptors use a single joint mannequin made of wire. So it will be much different. It has also some advantages because you can maneuver the hands as you like because they are all attached to one piece of the wire, right? But on the other hand, if you want to change the pose because you're not satisfied, it's much harder because when you cut it through, you cut it in half. You have to add another thing to join them together again. So yes, that's the.
So you start with a very rough pose with the wire?
Yeah, I always start with a very basic shape like this, and then I start adjusting the figure to my ideas, to the idea I have. So yeah, this is always the initial phase.
How do you measure the ratios between limbs?
Well, now I have more or less I have it in my mind. So just by looking at the proportions of the figure when it's made, when the mannequin is done, I look at the proportions and if something is wrong, I just change it. If I see that the hand is too long. At the beginning of my sculpting, I used to measure them and compare them with other figures of the manufacturers to make them go along well with other figures on scenes, because it's not always like that I use my own figures. Sometimes I just want to add my figures to some others that I have built or painted, and I want to mix them. So I'm trying to make them measured to be comparable. Of course, people are different, and if one of the figures will be taller or smaller than the others, it's even more interesting, I think. Not all the soldiers were like those alpine figures, very handsome and very tall, and yeah. If you look at the pictures, you get all the personalities. Right, so I think it's even more interesting and nice to depict different types of people, not only those handsome and slim and young soldiers that were on the front lines. Okay, so we have this mixed. Maybe I'll pick one of the figures. This one can be a bit challenging because I would have to remove the hands from this one. Maybe here would be easier. I use wine corks for attaching the figures. I drill holes in their soles and glue pieces of the paper clip inside, and then I attach them to the wine corks, so I have for ease of sculpting, right? This is done to make it easier. I also use lead foil for some details like belts, some photo etch distinctions or belt buckles. There are I don't know. I think Aber makes some details like this. So you can easily get them on the market. Okay. If you want, you can come closer, actually here or in the first row. So it will be easier for me even to explain it. You'll be able to see how it's. So I start with the very rough shapes. a moment.
Magic. It's magic scoop there.
Is it magic?
Yes.
Magic. And they use the water.
Just to
No, it's
make it more smooth, to prevent the tool from sticking too much to the putty. So you just need water, a bit of water for this. Just to.
Radek, is there a metal frame inside the figure or not?
Well, there are like I showed on the presentation, the torso and the pelvis they have holes drilled inside, and they are joined with a very short piece of the paper clip. So there is not a frame going completely through the figure.
Only for
Well,
the
that's another
connection.
way, because some people do it that way, but I prefer this method. So, okay, we add more here. It looks like he's wearing a skirt, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the grenade is a little bit too tight, but just for the workshop, so. You're good at sculpting your right?
I'm really not sure.
So the drawing time allows you to work like 20 minutes from several pieces if you want to make some coat on.
Well, I make the clothes by adding more layers to the figure, right? So when this will be done, I would wait a couple of hours to start with like 2 hours, just to have this firm to work with the other parts of the figure. So I can use this round shape tool to smoothen make it. Yeah. I actually had this idea about rolling the rolling tool, not so long ago. Before that, I used to use this one, and by pressing and dragging the putty down or up. But now I find it more comfortable and more easier to do it this way. And it already starts to get some nice curves. So then you can redefine them if you like to use some of them. You can of course go completely smooth on the finish. So depends on the effect we want to achieve. Yeah, but this is quite a new approach for me to do to the sculpting itself. So here we have the grenade, and it's a little bit tight here. So I'll just leave it as it is for now. Just
the belts that I'm using. It's a lead wire.
Yeah, let's go.
flatten.
Yeah. I used to use thin plastic, but this one goes much more
It's
better with
pretty,
the.
pretty much soft.
Yeah, it's much softer, and plastic has this tension, right? So you have to glue it, and when you cut it, it can just pop off if there's not enough glue or something like that. So I'm not sure only that the lead foil is good for casting the figures, because it has some. Lead foil is like has a slightly rugged surface, right? So if you put it in a silicone, it can be torn from the figure when you will try to remove the master from the mold as it comes to casting. So I think this should be before casting. If you ever think of casting your figures, this should be covered in some layer of varnish or something, glossy varnish, just not to destroy the mold when the master will be removed from the mold. I will speak with Gergo that if it would be possible to make a workshop next year, so you could have some tools and some magic scope and do your own stuff. That would be, I think, the best. That would be the best option, because you can learn just by doing the things by your own hands, and it's the best way to learn, not just only to watch as I go with it. I won't be measuring the lower part of the camel smoke the SS have right now, because I don't have the reference with me, so I will just cut it as I think it should look. So just don't mind about that during our session here. So remove it, right.
So I guess you need a lot of reference pictures for the clothes, for the folds and some stuff, right?
Well, maybe not for the folds, because the folds tend to, in certain positions of the body, the folds tend to go always on the same way, right? So it's good to have a reference on those. You can just wear some clothes similar to the ones that were used. I mean, the behavior of the material, and just stand in front of a mirror and see how the material acts in specific pose. I do it many times, like wearing an unbuttoned jacket, just to see how the folds in the back are. If you put your hands, for example, in your pockets and have an unbuttoned jacket, and the material accumulates here on the back, so it's good to. You can always ask someone to take a picture of you and then have a reference, because it's not only that you can find a good reference on the internet. The reenactors are a good source for they may not be accurate always. Some are better, some are worse. But in general, just to see how the material shapes in different situations. So it's really good stuff to. There are some nice reenacting sites on Facebook. So if you have an account, you can search there.
That's great. I was afraid that I will have to make sculpts in the Wehrmacht code at home.
Okay, so the skirt is shaped like this. And we have some leftovers and we can use them for making the turtle, right? I always press them towards a piece of plastic, a thin plastic card, then cut them in those basic shape of the square shape. And then when they are dry, I just pop them off the plastic. I bend the plastic and they all pop off. So it's an easy way to remove them. Okay, then I'm gonna use them more of the rolling tool. Just to make it fit under the belt, like using a knife. It happens. Yes. Well, these occasions we have to be careful, right? So it can always happen, so don't worry about it.
Did you ever try super scalping? The stuff you have to bake in the oven?
No, I have a piece of this super scalpy thing, but I haven't used it yet. I'd probably use it for bigger sculpts, like those 120 or 2000 or busts. For this, I got used to Magic Scoop, and I think it's the perfect solution for me. So okay, so we can go a little bit more deeper with the folds. Well, making the folds is many times a combination of movement at once. So not only pressing the putty in a specific area, but also, you know what I mean, the movement of the tool. So not only press it against, but sometimes to get a nice effect, you have to
A double movement.
yeah, combine some movements together. You can always use this sharper here to make it look more deeper. Somebody's stealing a car, I suppose. Now you see, it's for example here the shape is more like not only pressed, but it's like this. So this is another kind of, compared to this one, it's only like pressed. You get a different shape here, right? Like the material is some kind of pushed in under the belt, so you can really create many effects.
So you start from an area, or you start from the big and then the smaller?
Well, actually, it's like after doing this with the
Yes.
rolling tool, I take a look and see if there are some areas that can be used
Yeah.
already for more emphasizing them more. So of course if they fit the location of because the material will be more curvy here, close to the belt, and less in the lower part. So you have to have that in mind. But generally, I try to make a use of the pre-shaped look of the. I'm trying to make an advantage of what I already did. Maybe I will focus on showing you some effects that maybe not maybe they will only be maybe how to say it, appropriate in this or this area, but I just want to show you how different effects can combine on the figure. So this won't be the final appearance of this specific figure, so maybe I'll rework it later, but for the purpose of this workshop it should be okay. For example, we can make an effect that the material is more accumulated in one area than the other.
I will close the window, alright?
Okay. Much better now. Thanks. Another thing is that if you have a thick layer here underneath the clothes, to make it look finer, you just wait until the putty is more firm, and then, because now if I would start cutting it from there, it would I would move the whole combination of folds, and moreover the putty would probably go sink here. But when it's after, for example, 30-40 minutes, it's enough firm to do this. So you can get it more a finer shape here, just to remove this piece of, because if it gets completely dry and it's like this, it'll be very difficult to remove it without damaging other elements. So each specific each specific I can do it.
Can we sand? Can we make it thinner with sand? Sanding the...
With sandpaper? Well, you mean in general, the figure?
No, the back side.
The underside. Well, you can use a Dremel to drill it with a very small drill, a small tip, right? But I think a Dremel won't be good at this scale, because you can damage the figure actually, and you won't have enough control of the tool to make it really, to work with it really carefully, right?
Like this.
Exactly.
Every time.
Exactly.
Adesso della parte sotto che deve rimodellare.
that the big clove of the lower part of the camel smoke is folded, like the material. There's a lot of material here, right? So that's what I'm doing now. Back and we correct what we have just destroyed a bit with the scalpel. When it goes like that, you repeat. Sometimes it's just repeating the process until it creates a satisfying effect. To make a figure look good, I think it's important to do a combination of small wrinkles and big wrinkles. The smaller ones add some detail to the overall shape, and the bigger ones create the movement of the whole cloth. And of course, less is more, so you don't have to add so many of those finer wrinkles to the figure, because eventually it can create an effect that the whole material is like covered in wrinkles, and if you would pull it, it would be much longer than it actually should be. Just the effect that it would create. One more thing I forgot to tell you at the beginning, as for the tools, that before I start using any of them, I cover the tip with super glue, and when it gets dry, I sand it and polish it, so the wood is very smooth, much more smoother than it. If you take a toothpick and just sharp it like this, it will have those tiny wood hair that is on and you won't be able to work with it to have the control on the tool. So I usually apply 2 layers. After the first one is dry and sanded and polished, I apply another one just to make the tool usable for many times. Because another thing is that after each sculpting, sometimes there are pieces of putty that you won't, after several figures, the putty starts to accumulate on the tool, and even if you dip it in water and clean it, there's always some small bits on it. So I'm always, once in a while, I'm sanding it again with sandpaper. So the more layers of super glue you add, the less you will then remove after doing the cleanup of the tools. So you can repeat it as you like, of course, if you want 3 layers.
And then how hold instruments?
Well, I usually start with these, but sometimes many times actually. I remove the figure from the cork and work like this. It's just easier. It looks nice on the cork, but it's easier to work like this. But for me,
But your question was how old the toothpicks
Yes.
are, right?
How old are the toothpicks?
how old are you? Oh,
The tools. Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, I didn't understand that well. How old they are? This one is pretty new, as you can see, and these two are like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years old.
Oh,
There's a lot of magic sculpt on them.
heels.
Yeah, years. Yeah, this one is like 10 years old. The big one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you can see how it's changed the shape because of holding it in my hand like this, right? So it adapted to the shape of the finger. Yeah, it's bent. It was a straight stick, so now it looks much different. It doesn't look nice because it's all covered in magic sculpt and it looks very dirty and mean. But it's not important. It's the important thing is that it creates the right effect I need. So
Exactly.
yeah.
You don't need the whole dentist tool set
Yeah.
to sculpt something.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I find the dentist tools pretty not suitable for sculpting. They are not so good because with dentist tools, you're always limited to the shape of the tool, and it's not prepared. Well, you're handling some. You're a prosthetic, right?
I'm a dental technician.
Yeah, dental technician.
So, well, the instruments in prosthetics are very different than yours.
Yeah, I know. I have some dentist right tools at home, but I don't find them that good for sculpting because
I also think they are not good for sculpting.
you can do just one shape. Yeah, they are not so universal. These are much better because you create the shape of the tool you want, and you won't find any shapes like this among the tools that the dentists use. So I tried to use some.
They are designed for dentist purposes.
Yeah, they are designed for other things than that we want them to use. Let's do some smoothing of what we have done already here. From time to time the toothpicks tend to break, so we have to replace them with new tools, but in general they are quite sturdy if you're not pressing them too hard against the pulley.
You don't use Vaseline, only water.
Yes. Water dries and doesn't leave any marks, and if you would use some kind of oil or greasy things, it would leave. You would have to wash the figure after you did the sculpting. So it's just water is just fine. It's very ecological. The brush leaves some traces on the putty, so that's why it's good to polish it later with the steel wool. So not also to prepare it for casting, but just to make it look right and comfortable for painting.
Sorry, I didn't hear. How do you polish afterwards?
I use steel wool. Steel wool. Yeah, it comes in different gradations, right? So I went to a shop for.
It's called Ebanisti.
Who?
Italian is Ebanisti. That work with the wood, a little puzzle with the wood.
Yeah, I think so. This was an ordinary shop where you can get all the tools and all the materials.
Normal, yes.
Yeah, it was a very normal shop. And it comes in big bunches like this, so if you buy one, and it's really cheap, and if you buy one, it will last for a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, because you just need a very small piece to polish. You can do it with your tweezers or just with your fingers. The good thing is that it polishes really well, but the bad thing is that it loses the hair when you polish. So after the metal is spread all over, so you have to be careful not to touch your lips or eyes, because you can get those small fibers, metallic fibers to your body. So you have to be careful with that. But in general, it's a very good tool. It's good because it adapts to uneven shapes. With sandpaper, you can't do it like that because it's paper, right? So you won't be able to go in all the areas you want to redefine. Do we have time? It's 3 o'clock. Yes, we have time. There are, of course, seam lines to be made on the clothes, but I usually make them when magic sculpt is getting firmer, because it's easier to draw a very thin line when it starts to be dry. Because if it's soft, you can easily go too deep with the scalpel. So it's just an easier way to do it. To wait until it dries a little bit and that the surface is firmer. We'll do some random. pretty basic right now, but it fulfills the idea of the seminar. Usually it takes me one evening to work on a specific piece of a figure. So the process is divided into a couple of days, like 2 weeks. Of course, if you would focus on this only, you probably could finish a figure in 1 week or faster. But the time is always a problem, right? So. Or usually.
I mean, generally in modeling.
Should be. Let's try. Yeah, so we have achieved I think some pretty nice effects here. There should be a seam line as far as I remember going from here. And another one is probably on the back, but I don't remember this exact pattern of the camouflage small VSS used. So the details can be redefined. Actually, even after the putty is dry, if you have a sharp needle or something like this, you can draw the seam line on the dried putty. Of course, it's easier to work with when it's softer. Again, but sometimes you just forget to add something and do it like. I think. Okay, I think I can show it to you. Of course, we could work on it more and try to improve it. To look at some photos and add some effects that are visible in the flow. But for a purpose of a workshop like this, I think it's pretty okay. Just to be careful with the figure because it tends to.
Can I try the magic scale?
Beware of the allergy. It doesn't stink that much. Pretty odorless. You have to wash your hands afterwards.
I'm allergic to chili. I got once touched my eye with the chili. But I think everyone is.
Maybe it's better when you mix it with the glue.
Glue?
Glue.
I don't think so. I think it's sticky. When you wear latex or rubber gloves, I think it's very sticky.
No. Well, you can try, but I prefer to work with it. Of course, it's probably. Well, I do it for many years, and as you can see, it doesn't do any damage to my health so far. So it's pretty safe, but. If you want to take a look here, just remember the figure is very, and the Mauser isn't attached, it's on blue tack. So be careful. So you have any more questions?
Not really questions. I think most difficult is to find
right
a natural looking pose. I tried different times, but they look clumsy or, you know,
Well,
experience, right?
it's good to observe other people or yourself in the mirror, like I said earlier. Stand in front of the mirror. For example, with those dragon figures, I always find it kind of funny because they're always so stiff. It's like the sculptor tells the model to stand like you were running, right? It's not a real running position of the body, but a very kind of, I don't know, theatrical or something like. It's not the real movement of the body. So the boxers are always nice from Dragon, but the figures inside are pretty stiff or.
And the step, you start down and then go.
Yeah, I start with the trousers. I usually work on the boots in the last stage. So it's like the trousers, the right trouser leg. I start with the right one because the fly of the trouser goes from left to right. So that's why I do the right trouser leg first. Then I proceed with this one and I do the fly here. So I don't have to mix anything, change anything here. So that's why it's easier for me to start with the right one. It's all the same with the jacket. So I go from the right hand side, and for example, if I'm making a German tanker, they had those big flaps here, right? They were buttoned in this more or less this area. So I start with the underside of the jacket and I go up here to the seam line and I leave it like this, and when it's all dry I add the layer here.
Two rounds.
Yeah, so in 2 rounds. So it depends on the uniform you want to fabricate, you want to do.
And then you do.
Yeah, and the sleeves and the hands or faces. You can choose whether you want to start with the face or reworking it, right? Because it's a bit different when you have a ready-made head and you create the whole pose of using some ready-made compounds, because you get the idea of the figure, right? But when I start completely from scratch, for example, when I'm making some commercial sculpts, I start with the head and I do it separately. And then I have to have in mind if it is a bit smaller than the others or bigger, you have to adapt the rest of the body. So, it differs from what you are doing, actually. When it comes to figures like this, they are more or less the same size, because I like them to be the same size. But it varies when I do the commercial ones. I did several commercial figures, so.
Do you come from artistic school?
No. It's just my love for sculpting. Let's call it like that. Yes, I was thinking for a moment if maybe I should go to a kind of artistic academy or school, but eventually I ended up studying law and I finished law, so it's pretty much different than you could expect from me. So, but I'm enjoying this very much. So I think nothing was lost. Yeah. Okay, I think if you don't have any more questions.
How much time you need to create the complete figure, to sculpt the figure?
The last one I did in 2 weeks. The Hungarian insurgent. That's on the that's in the contest.
2 weeks, but how many hours in a day?
Well, like 1-2 hours in the evening.
So you choose only one small area where you concentrate?
Yeah, well, like I said, I start with the body, then I go with the trousers, and the upper clothes, like jackets or shirts or anything they wear. Yeah, and that's it.
Come si dice cintura in inglese?
So,
Belt. You don't use a magic sculpture for the belt, only...
No, it's lead foil, no.
Never?
Well, I used to use some green stuff, but if you want to use green stuff, you first have to mix it, then you have to roll it very thin to make an even shape, then you have to cut it and then apply to the figure. And with lead foil, you just cut the right shape and attach and then glue it to the figure, so it's much easier and faster. It's not all about being fast, but But it's pretty important not to stick with. If you spend too much time on some areas, you can start to get bored about it. So before you lose the interest, so it's important to be pretty fast in some areas. Those, especially with those that can cause any problems, like the hoods or the faces, or like this belt thing. I usually cut some stripes of lead foil and have them ready in the box. So I just take, when I have several figures to be done, I just take it and use it on them. Yeah.
But the particular, you do not watch what size?
Well,